Hey divas. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Please put a 1 in the chat if you hear me. Please put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. How is everybody doing? I missed y'all. It seemed like it's been a long time. I have an echo. Let me turn this off on my phone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, everybody can hear me. Happy Tuesday, divas. Welcome to Pink Table Topics. I'm your host and your good sis, Pink Diva. Thank you so much for joining me. As you're pulling your seat up to the table, please don't forget to hit that like button for me. Feel free to drop down and leave a comment and make sure you engage in the topic and turn your bell notifications on so that you will be notified each and every time I drop a new topic. As you know, over here, our mission is to create a safe space for women to gather as a community, engage in healthy dialogue regarding real life issues that we as women deal with on a daily basis, but most importantly, to foster the true meaning of sisterhood. And if you are here, that means you are subscribed and representing the Diva tribe, and not just any diva. We are divine, we are inspiring, we are valiant, and we are admirable. Welcome to the table, divas. Happy Tuesday. Let me go ahead and get our motivational quote of the day out of the way. And our quote for today is: when you forgive, you heal. And when you let go, you grow. Let me say that again. That's a good one. When you forgive, you heal. And when you let go, you grow. Ain't that a good one? You know, I got to be courteous before we get started. When you come into my house, let me go around the table and do my Divas roll call and see who I have in the house today. Let's be clear. Hey, sis. She said she'll catch the replay. Thank you so much for dropping in, sis. I appreciate you. My sis Chit Chat is in the house. Hey, Diva. Thank you so much for joining me, sis. I appreciate you. My mod, Teresa. Hey, sis. Thank you so much for joining me, Diva. Thanks for modding for me. You know, I appreciate you. Daughter of Israel is in the house. Hey, Diva. Hey, Mama V. Thank you so much for joining me, sis. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. S. Horton is in the house. Hey, my diva. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you for being here. How y'all doing? Nashonda is in the house. Hey, diva. Thank you so much for joining. Look at my sis, Irene. Hey, diva. Thank you so much for dropping by. I appreciate you. Teresa says, Pink Table Topics motivational quote: when you forgive, you heal, and when you let go, you grow. Yes. How is everybody doing? If you all hear an echo behind me, please forgive me. Sis, no, I was talking to her the other day. I'm doing some renovations and I'm sitting in my office now, but I've taken all of my photos off the wall because I'm getting ready to change things. I'm such a seasonal person. I redo stuff. I love decor and I change stuff all the time. So I'm getting ready to change my color scheme a little bit. So if you hear an echo, that's what it is, child. I got furniture. I just took my pictures off the wall. This ain't coleslaw now. You hear this echo, but I got furniture, right, sis? Hey, LaDawn. Thanks for joining, sis. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. How was everybody's weekend? And shout out to Aunt Debbie. I don't see her in here yet, but again, happy belated birthday to her again. I hope she had an amazing birthday weekend. We love you, Aunt Debbie. If you are listening in, happy birthday again to you. And I hope you had a great weekend. And I hope that you received everything your heart desired. And shout out to the Scorpios in the building. If you are a Scorpio, shout out to you. It's y'all season, child. Hey, Reen. Thanks for joining, sis. Reen Bass says, hey, Pink Table Topics mod and chat. Thanks for dropping by, sis. I appreciate you. How is everybody doing? Did y'all have a good day? Did y'all have a good day? I was talking to sis the other day. I am going on a cruise next week, Wednesday. I leave next week, Wednesday. and I'm getting carpet done and flooring done, and I'm trying to rearrange stuff, but I'm trying to have all of that finished before I leave for my trip so that everything will be in order. And I am so OCD to where it's just really driving me crazy that everything is out of whack. When I say everything is everywhere, and I am so uncomfortable because I just got stuff everywhere. I have been cleaning out. I have been giving stuff away. I have been giving stuff to the Goodwill, but I also, one of my daughter's friends, she just moved and I gave a bunch of like home decor and a lot of different stuff, curtains and stuff to her, so I wouldn't have to give it all to Goodwill, but really nice stuff. It's just that I'm changing my color scheme and all of that kind of stuff. So I just can't do it. I'm just so over it. I feel like I'm itching because stuff is just not, I can't rest. I've had many anxiety attacks all week long last week because stuff is just, I just can't do clutter. I can't do junk, and I just can't do when things are out of order. So it's really bothering me. Teresa said being OCD is a pain in the behind. Sis, do you have OCD too? Me and sis was just talking about that. We were just laughing and talking about that the other day. We are so similar in so many ways until it's just funny. It's just like stuff she'll say and stuff we'll say, and we're like, well, me too. And I was just telling her that I was having like OCD moments and stuff, even down to the way we wash our dishes and stuff. It's so weird to a lot of people, but you know, I love stuff being decent and in order, not just with, stuff just in my life, period. So OCD is just like it's a huge thing. Teresa said, I do. Most Virgos have OCD bad. I'm a Sagittarius, sis, and it's top tier for me. Like, um, I used to be bothered when people would make fun of me because I had OCD, but I don't care anymore. I am who I am. And it's just so funny how my close friends and even my husband and my kids know it's so bad. They've adjusted to my level of crazy, as they call it. They know I'm OCD, so they just fell right in line with it because they know everything is going to be done decent and in order. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think it's like a clean thing. You just like stuff done a certain way. You just like things done in order. And listen, I'm here for it. I am here for it. So we are going to move into our topic. And today we're going to talk about forgiveness and grace. Who gets it and who doesn't? And what sis say? Sis said it's just extreme organization in all areas. Listen, I am so geeked about being able to, I'm redoing my pantry, I'm redoing my laundry room. Like, I'm so geeked about having, I'm just waiting on the stuff to come in. I'm so geeked about being able to go in and get everything organized and labeled. I've been stuck over on TikTok half the day today just looking at organizational videos and stuff. Teresa said OCD is labeled as a disease. It really is. It really is. And there used to be a show that used to come on that used to deal with people with OCD and the different things that they would do. But hey, it is what it is. Irene said, I never knew I was OCD. Listen, you don't know until you know, right? Hey, Square Biz. Thanks for joining, sis. How you doing today? I don't think I saw you over on Sis's channel the other day. I don't think, unless I missed you. I was in and out when I was listening to her live the other day. But hey, sis, thanks for joining. So let's move into this topic. We're going to talk about forgiveness and grace. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is because, for one, it's something that I struggle with, but I wanted to talk about it because I was listening in on some conversations last week and over the weekend with the whole Nell Fletcher situation. And as I was hearing different conversations where a lot of people stood firm on, their feelings about how they would handle her going forward with the whole Nell and Martell, the situation where she felt like she was ambushed and all that kind of stuff. So by no means am I trying to change your mind, because we know this situation happened outside of TV, right? It was actually their reality in real time. So we can't even affiliate it with the actual reality TV show. Those of you that were over on Sis's channel know that I said I would extend Nell grace, being that she said she was ambushed, right? Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean I wouldn't side eye her going forward. And I would definitely limit the information that I shared with her. But I personally wouldn't hold on to the situation, only because I have been in a similar situation where I had to be neutral with two individuals that I was really, really close with, and neither of them saw eye to eye with each other, right? They had a falling out. No, it wasn't a side chick situation, and I know that's totally different. But it was a situation where the person wanted me to choose who I would be cool with. And I didn't allow either party to come to me about the other one unless they were actually reaching out about a resolve to their situation. Because, at one point in time, they were really close friends, and it was something very minor. So again, it's nothing compared to the situation with Mel Martell and the side chick and all of that. But I was really able to be neutral in that situation because I was cool with both of them. Their issues had absolutely nothing to do with me. So I made sure I stood firm on where I stood with the situation between the two of them. Yes, there were times they would both come to me and try to pull me into the situation, but I stopped them, and I told them, look, if you're not coming to me about a resolve, or you're wanting me to step in and help you try to resolve it, let it go and move on. And from that situation, I also had to evaluate my own personal situation when it came to my ex-husband. And when I say he put me through some things, some of you know that I shared parts of the story in a different live that we did, but he put me through some things, and I'm talking, he caused all kinds of havoc in my life. And when I walked away from that marriage, I was done with it. We had mutual friends that we both were still really cool with. I would hang out with them when he wasn't around, and he would hang out with them when I wasn't around. But once I left that marriage, I didn't care who he associated with. I didn't care who still associated with him. And everybody knew, don't come to me telling me nothing that man said. Don't come to me telling me nothing about that man's life, because when I said I was done, I was done. But I later found out that he was only still going around them in hopes that he would eventually run into me. But as time went by, I slowly started to separate myself from those mutual friends as well, because I didn't want any connections with him. It wasn't because I felt any kind of way about them. I just felt like I outgrew them because my life was moving in a different direction. There was a point in my life where I hated my ex-husband, and almost everybody connected to him. And I say that truthfully. I hated that man. And it was to a point that I felt like it was affecting me more than it was affecting him. And I really had to pray and ask God to help me move past the hurt. Not only the hurt, but the hate I had in my heart, because I had hate in my heart for that man. And I remember talking to one of my friends, and she sat me down and said, "You know what, sis? Eventually you're going to have to forgive him. Not for him, but for yourself." She said, in order for you to move on in a healthy way, you have to forgive folks, even when they hurt you. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, forgiveness is one of the hardest things to do, especially when you're caught up in the emotions of what's going on. And although both grace and mercy are connected to each other, they're still very different, right? Forgiveness is reactive and grace is proactive. So even when a person is undeserving of it, we still have to extend grace and forgive. And that takes me back to the question: how do you know who to and who not to extend grace and forgiveness to? And like I said, it's something that I struggle with. So I wanted to hear different perspectives on how you decide on who to extend grace or who should be extended grace. And keep in mind, extending grace and forgiving someone does not mean allowing that person to continue mistreating you. By no means is that what I'm saying. But at some point, we have to forgive them and move on, right? And once you've moved on, they won't get another opportunity to wrong you. So, can you honestly say that you've moved on if you still have the hate, the hurt, and the unforgiveness in your heart from a person that's wronged you? And we know it's the Christian thing to do, right? And we also know all of us ain't there yet. Hello, all of us aren't there yet. But it takes some time to get there, especially depending on what caused the friction. So, again, like I say, forgiveness for me is hard. It's something that it's a learning process, and it also, like I say, depends on what the situation is for me. And I don't want to keep this connected to the whole nail situation. I'm really talking about our everyday lives. I want this to be connected to us, our everyday lives. Like, has any of you found yourself in a situation where you struggle to forgive or extend grace to someone? And if so, how did you move past it? And what advice can you share with those of us that may still struggle with it? Because it's something that um I really struggle with. I know a lot of us struggle with it because we hold on to things. We'll say we've moved on, because my thing is, once you forgive or extend grace to a person, that means you don't forget. Of course, you'll always remember how a person hurt or harmed you, but you're able to move past it. Because I remember when I said initially that I had forgiven my ex-husband. I said that I had forgiven him. I said that I had moved on. But it was like every time I would see him, which was very few and far between, I still would, like, those feelings would come up, that hate would come up again. And I would still, like, I would hate the ground that he walked on. And my girlfriend had to check me, and she said, well, you haven't forgiven him, because if you still get that feeling when you come in contact with this person, you haven't let it go. If you still got to bring it up, you haven't let it go. And I'm not saying um because I'm sharing my story of what I went through with him and what I experienced, that does not mean that I have not moved on and forgive. Because your story, your experiences, that's your story to tell. You have every right to share your story, the experiences that you went, be it a bad marriage, bad relationship, bad friendship, or whatever it is. You have every right to share their story, how often you want to share their story, when you want to, how you want to, or whatever, because that's your experience, right? And we use our experience to try to help the next person that may possibly be experiencing something that I was able to go through. And I wanted to say that because I know a lot of times people will say, just because I'm in the middle of a conversation and I bring the situation up again, that I'm not healed from it. I'm still hurt. Healing is a process as well. It takes years for you to really, really heal from situations, depending on what it was and how long you were actually in the situation. So you don't get to tell a person that they're not healed. Or you don't get to tell a person to, go heal and stop talking about it, because, that's my story. That's my experience. If I want to write a book about it, I can. If I want to continue talking about it every day, I can, because that was my experience. but that does not mean that I wasn't healed. So let's get that straight. And we can relate that to Mel, how, she's shared bits and pieces about what she experienced in her marriage and her relationship. And, if she's in a conversation and things come up, people are quick to say she hasn't moved on, she's not healed. And that's not true, because you don't get to tell a person that they're not healed. I can talk about it now, whereas there were times that I really used to could not even talk about what I went through without getting angry or without crying from the hurt, the disappointment, and the embarrassment of everything that I went through. So I can talk about it now because I am healed and I'm still healing from it. It takes a while to heal from it. So by no means am I saying you're unhealed because you are still talking about it, because different conversations may strike things and things come back to your remembrance of something that you experienced when you were in that relationship. So of course I'll say, you know what, when I was married to my ex, I experienced that. He did this, he said those things, or what have you, and this is how I moved past it. Some people will try to keep you connected to that hurt and want you to stay there and say that where clearly you didn't move on because you're still talking about it. No, that was my life. I can talk about, that was a part of my history. That was a part of something I experienced. So I have every right, just like all of you and anybody else, you have every right to talk about your story, your experiences, as much as you want to, whenever you want to, right? Let me read some. Teresa, gone away from that, talking about some sounds just like them droids. Girl, gone away from here with that. Sis said, woo, child, not you, not coleslaw. Sis. Don't do it. Don't do it. Let me go down and read some comments. Ooh, y'all talking about this OCD stuff. We not the only one. Square Biz said, I'm doing great. I was there, got to run off, unfortunately. Just wanted to stop and support. See you all later. Thanks, sis. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you. Hey, sis. I am blessed because Pam is in the house. How are you doing, Diva? Thanks for pulling up. Sis said, I agree. She came on to clear it up, so I extended grace for that, but I would still watch her. Yes, I agree. She did come on, to say her part to clear up what actually happened. Although, and we know perception is key. Perception, we can all perceive things in different ways, and we all saw the image, we saw the pictures, and the what who is the lady that she said, whoever Martell's person was that was taking the pictures, she accomplished what she set out to do. That was what she wanted to do. She wanted the optics to look like there was some sort of relationship building or some type of something going on between Coleslaw and Nail. So, but again, we have to be careful of the optics, because people perceive things differently. But I was able to forgive her for that. But like you said, I won't look past, I won't look past it the next time. I'll keep my eyes on you, I'll watch what I say around you, because I know, and I've never been the type of person that would have my friends choose who to and who not to talk to because I fall out with somebody, right? We can't cut people off just because, I can't tell you, Reem, to cut somebody off because I don't talk to them anymore. And I had a friend that was like that. Every time she fell out with somebody, she would expect you to fall out with that person or to not be cool or talk to that person because she wasn't. And I had to tell her, I say, sis, you fall out with folks all the time. Like, you constantly in rotation with people. So if I continue to cut people off because you cut people off, won't none of us have no friends. And that's just not a way to be, because I do know how to be a good friend to both my friends, even if they don't talk to each other, because I don't do mess. I don't do drama. Don't come over here talking to me about her if you can't talk to her about her. So that's just how I move. Um, Reen said, I'm doing good. I hope you are too. Thanks, sis. Hey, Cece. Cece said, hi, Pink Table Topics, Chit Chat, and Teresa, and everyone. Thanks for dropping by, sis. I appreciate you. LaDawn said, it depends on what they did. Some shit I can't overlook. That's true. That's true. So it's good that you said some things, some stuff you can't overlook, right? So on the stuff that you can't overlook, that goes back to what we said when we're talking about it depends on the situation. Still, at some point, don't we still have to find it in our heart to forgive it and get past it? No, we don't overlook it, but don't we still have to forgive? Not for them, but for us. Don't we still have to forgive in order for us to actually be able to move on? And again, forgiving someone and extending grace to someone does not mean that they have to stay in your life. Does not mean that person has to you have to allow that person back in your life. You forgive them and you move on from them, from that person and that situation. So we're still able to, should be able to forgive them and then just cut them off and keep it moving. Like, I don't wish anything bad on you. I don't wish anything bad to happen to you. I wish you well. May the chips fall where they may, but you just will no longer be a part of my life. I forgave you for what you did for me, and that was for me. So I moved past it. So I forgave you for what you did to me, and I moved past it, right? Sis said, morally, we all should extend grace and forgive. However, in Kimmy's voice, it takes time for a lot of people. Yes, absolutely. Forgiveness is not an overnight thing. It's not something that happens overnight. It's a process because we have to grow to that point of forgiveness, because in the heat of the moment, we're stuck in the what you did to me. We're stuck in the why you did it to me and all the other moving pieces surrounding by the situation that we're at. And if I'm in the process of trying to let's use Mel for a minute. If I'm in the process of dissolving my marriage, dissolving the businesses that we had together within the marriage, just in the middle of postpartum because she had a new baby, and also dealing with the bird that was chirping online all over social media about my marriage and all of the other criticism that I was receiving. It's hard for you to get to a point of worrying about forgiving him at this point, because I'm in the process of trying to gain sanity on what my next move is, because here I am with kids, having to dissolve everything, getting ready to walk away from my marriage, trying to find somewhere for us to stay, somewhere stable for us to stay, having to try to rebuild everything. And not only that, you are still doing things behind the scenes. So how can a person that's similar to what Mel went through, just looking in our own personal lives, when we have people that are constantly still attacking us, constantly doing things to us, how can we get to a point of forgiveness? Like, so again, it's a process. It's not something that happens overnight, for sure. Daughter of Israel said, I think forgiveness is for everyone, but with the change in behavior, if the behavior doesn't change, then other boundaries will have to be put in place. Absolutely. I totally agree, sis. And we definitely have to make sure we are putting boundaries in place when we do get to a point of being able to forgive the person for what they did, what they said, or how they treated us. We have to set boundaries in place. And that's what I was saying. I can forgive you and I can extend grace and I can move on. I can move on from you. I don't have to be connected to you at that point. And even if you're someone that's still in my life, I know how to just say, you know what? These are the boundaries. We won't talk about this. We won't talk about that. I will only let you in so far. It'll basically be about the weather. How's the weather? You good? That's it. Sis said, if at all. Right. Hey, Math. Thanks for joining, sis. She said, I have forgiven several relatives, but I don't associate with anymore. The forgiveness was for me to move on. Yes, great point. Forgiveness is for us. And this goes for relatives as well. So I'm glad you said that. It's not just friendships, it's not just our personal, like, relationships with significant others or ex-husbands or any of that. It's family members and relatives too. Like, there are a lot of us that I'm sure have experienced things with our relatives the same way we've experienced things with exes and ex friendships and stuff like that. So a question, being that you brought up the whole relatives, does it differ, or does forgiveness for you differ based on who the person is? If it's a relative, do you forgive easier? If it's a significant other, do you forgive easier? Or if it's a friend? And and I ask that question because in experiences that I've seen coming from especially us as women, it's easy for us to forgive these Negroes, and we be so hard on each other when it comes to each other as women. Like, we will throw a whole friendship away without trying to resolve the issues that we have with each other. But these Negroes can come into our lives and wreak havoc on our lives, and we forgive them. We'll put them out, take them back, put them out, take them back. Well, he said he's going to change. He said he won't do it again. And we just continue going through that cycle. Why is it that it's easier for us to forgive a man than it is for us to forgive another lady? That's a question that I've actually always wanted to know. Why is it so easy for us to forgive the men that wrong us than it is for us to forgive the women that wrong us? Can someone answer that for me? Sis said, you can still forgive even if you're not around to see change behavior. Forgiveness is for you. Yes, because if it's someone that's no longer in our life, we won't actually see the change behavior, because if I've forgiven you and walked away from you, I'm not allowing you back in my space or in my circle anymore. So I won't be able to see your change behavior because I'm not letting you get that close to me. Teresa said, thank you for pulling up to the table. Please hit the like button on your way in and share the page. Thank you, sis. Math said, forgiveness is a process. Absolutely. Daughter of Israel said, absolutely, chit chat. And forgiveness doesn't require us to deal with the person still. I agree with you. Absolutely. Irene said, I've never forgiven the person who took my son's life, but I had to learn to live with it. First of all, I'm sorry to hear that you lost your son, sis. That's a hard one. Ooh, that's hard. I can't even say I would disagree with that, because I don't know how I would handle that either. I don't know how I would handle that. That's a hard one again, and that's what we said. It depends on the situation. Teresa said, my mother-in-law did something to hurt me over 30 years ago, and it took me until last year to finally realize that I am over it. Even though she had apologized, I realized I hadn't really accepted it. And see how long that was? 30 whole years. We be holding on to stuff. And that was the same way I was with my ex-husband. It was like he did something that just almost, when I say I hated that man, and it was like I would be okay until his name was brought up. I would get angry all over again. If I saw him, I would get angry all over again. And mind you, we share children, so he would have to call and talk to the kid, but I still felt a way. And it was years years. And honestly, still to this day, if that subject come up, I probably would still feel away. But I'm able to be cordial, wife, but it's still something on the inside that I still be. So obviously, maybe I haven't fully forgiven, but um times if we're having a conversation and we're going down memory lane and saying, you remember when he did such and such, like it'll still anger me to this day. Does that mean I haven't forgiven? Maybe I haven't forgiven him. Teresa said, because I was still hurting, I had to forgive her to get over it. That's true. Hey, sis, my sis, Real Talk with Grace and Mercy is here. Thanks for joining, sis. We're talking about forgiveness and grace. You're the perfect person to talk to us about some forgiveness and grace, sis. We're trying to get to a point of forgiving. Hey, Miss Blade. Thanks for joining, sis. How you doing? LaDawn said we can accept and move on, period. That's true. We can accept it and move on. We sure can. Teresa said I had to forgive my mother-in-law because she had went on with her life and everything was bothering me. When she called my husband, it would burn me up to hear her voice and it would irritate me, so I had to. Yes, that's very true. And that's what lets us know that we haven't letting it go. Because when we look at them, they out here living their lives, not even thinking about the sleepless nights that we're dealing with and how we're constantly thinking about the things that they've done to us, and we're still holding on to it. They have moved on with their lives. They're not thinking about how it's still affecting us. We seeing them out here remarried or dating, or in other friendships, relationships, or whatever the case may be, or even if it's family members. We see that they've moved on. They'll see us, they can still speak and keep it moving, but it's something about us, we'll turn and go the other way, like, don't put me in the same room with this person, or I don't talk to that person, and we can't share spaces with them. And that's because we still are holding on to it, and we haven't actually forgiven. Teresa also said, I realized forgiveness was for me, not for her. Once I forgave her, the atmosphere is a lot better. Now I can visit with no problem, but not before. I agree. And I hate when we don't get along with our mother-in-laws or family members that we are around a lot. I hate that we don't get along with each other like that, but it happens. I have family members I don't even talk to. That whole blood is thicker than water thing, yeah, it's not looking so good for me these days. So I get it, sis. I totally get it. Sis said that's how it is. We could be carrying around the hurt and anger, and some could care less. We must free ourselves. Great word, sis. We must free ourselves. That's what it's all about. We have to free ourselves, because if we're holding on to it, we're not free. And holding on to all of that stuff will make you sick. We have to learn how to let that stuff go. Holding on to it would only make us sick. So we have to learn how to forgive and move on for ourselves. Mama V said, I had to stop people from talking about the person around me. I eventually forgave because it wasn't so fresh in my mind. And that's what, and it takes time. And I'm the same way. I had to cut people off because they would always bring it up. So, don't talk about the person around me. You can go be cool with that person or whomever, but just don't talk about me or that person around me, because if I'm done, I'm done. I'm done. LaDawn said, wrong is wrong. And again, it depends. That's very true. It just really depends on, hey, Kimberly Anthony. Thank you so much, Diva, for pulling up to the table. How are you? Daughter of Israel said, I think it's because we were taking from a man. I just wonder why it's just so easy for us to the man can do whatever, dog us out, go have 50 women, come back home, say he's sorry, and we'll just let him right back in with, not putting up much of a fight. But when it comes from a girlfriend, we cut him off, we block the number, we won't let him call him, we don't hang out anymore, we don't give him the opportunity to try to rectify the situation. So I just wondered um, why is it so hard for us to forgive each other as women and not as men? We give these men a lot of passes, and I've been guilty of that too. Not just you all or anyone connected to us. I've been guilty to that too. Sis said because the men give a different type of love, it's not right. But that's why a lot of women forgive their men so easily. That's very true. I can see that. I can see that. Math also said, in my opinion, women forgive men because we want their love so badly. That's very true. That's true. Teresa said, I see people that do forgive, but it's hard. I don't know I could. That's true. Am I going in and out now, sis? Can you hear me? I see you said I was going in and out. It's probably your iPhone device. Check it, sis. Daughter of Israel said, I think we forgive men so easily because we were taking from like the scripture says. That's true. That's true. Math said, is forgiveness about forgetting or learning to deal with the painful events? I don't think forgiveness is about forgetting, sis, because we forgive, but we never forget. We always remember how a person made us feel. We never forget. Hey, Neva. Hey, sis. Thanks for joining. We never forget. It's something that we'll never forget. But we always forgive, or we should always forgive for ourselves, but just not. We're not forgiving to say we forgot about how they mistreated us or the things they did and said to us. I put the link in the chat, y'all, if y'all want to come up. I put the link in the chat if someone want to share a story on forgiveness and how they forgave or extended grace to someone, how you were able to handle and maneuver that situation, because I struggle with it. So I'm asking the question because I struggle with it. So I would love for you to come up and share how you were able to maneuver past it. And did you forget about it? Did you forgive and move on? Did you allow the person still to be in your space, or how did you handle the situation? Teresa said, blood is thicker than water is for the birds. It sure is. I have friends who I am much closer to, friends who would be there for me no matter what. I know that's right, sis. I definitely have friends that I'm way more closer to than I am um than family. Sis said, no, ma'am, I'm on the desktop. Well, if you can't hear me, I'm on this old Mac. So now what? Talking about that's that droid. I am not on the droid. Don't even do it. Teresa said, let me email Mel and see if she have an extra phone for Pink Table Topics. Listen, if it's an iPhone, she can keep it. I don't care if it's free. You cannot pay me to have an Apple product. I don't like Apple products. Y'all won't sway me at all, as my grandma used to say. I am blessed because Pam said we must forgive for ourselves, and that's where the healing begins. I totally agree. I totally agree. We have to forgive for ourselves. That is exactly where the healing comes from. Because again, like we said, how can I sit around and hold on to all of this stuff and just let it continue to fester? And, when I look at them, they're moving on with their lives, so we have to let it go, forgive and let go. Sis said, woo, child, who else heard sis go in and out? It's probably them ear pods you got on, sis. They be going in and out all the time. They probably not connected. Daughter of Israel said, I think we have to be intentional when it comes to forgiving others. I forgive as much as I can, and the Most High do the rest. Yes, intentional. We have to be intentional. when it comes to forgiving others. And it's not easy though. It's not an easy task. It's not an easy task to forgive. I think it has a lot to do with growing. We have to grow to a space to where we'll be able to actually forgive people who have hurt, harmed, or caused us any harm, because it's not an easy task. And like LaDawn was saying, it all depends on what the situation actually is. If I had, if I was in the position that Mel was in with Martell and his bird, Bridget J, hey sis, thanks for joining. How you doing? Thanks for pulling up to the table. We appreciate you. If I was in the situation to like Mel was with Martell and the bird, I don't know. I don't know. I probably would still, I don't know, because it's like so much has been done, so much have been said. I just really don't think that I would be able to move past it. Okay, I'm gonna need y'all to cut out the droid talk, Teresa and sis. Teresa talking about, of course you didn't cause, because you got that old raggedy droid too. Listen, my Android is actually top of the line. I have the Galaxy Z Fold 5, and our camera will outshine that old funky iPhone on any given day. You hear me? There's no way that your Apple device can stand a chance against my Z Fold at all, period. So actually, we're gonna raise some funds for Teresa and Sis while they're talking about this old iPhone, because Sis needs some new earpods. Um, Irene, that's okay, Sis. We got this. We got this. I'm gonna drop the link. So if anybody want to come up, feel free to come up, come up, come up. We are 47 minutes in. We're doing pretty good. We're not gonna hold you long. I have to still pack up some more stuff. I need to do some laundry. I've been washing all of my throws and just changing stuff. Neva said, "That's right, Pink Diva. Mine either." I have to say, exactly, sis. They wouldn't stand a chance against our Galaxy. So they can talk all they want to. They know them little janky phones be acting up. Every time sis on the phone, she says, "Can you hear me? Hold on, let me connect this ear pod. Can you hear me?" It's going in, and it be heard. I just be sitting there. But then when she get over here, over there, she be trying to clout chase and talking about talk about these Galaxy phones and these droids, and it be her. Daughter of Israel say, "I agree. It's about growing. We will always have to be in a position to forgive, because some people will always do or say something that offend others." Very true. That's very true. It will always be someone that'll do something to offend us or other people. And forgiveness is an everyday thing. We have to forgive every day. It's an everyday thing. It's not a one and done type situation. And sometimes people will do things, and we'll constantly find ourselves in a position to have to continue forgiving. And I say all the time, see, sis, you back there, but it's saying device not connected. That's that old iPhone. Hey, Neva. Hey, sis.
How you doing? You not messing with Chit Chat tonight.
Hey,
Look, don't be telling my business. Telling my business, child. I got my three. Those are not my Apple buds.
Whichever
Okay,
ones it
you
is.
talking to one of my cheap ones.
Hey, Chit Chat, how you doing, girl?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Don't y'all be threatening Irene in that chat about
Who got
her
an
droid.
iPhone? I need somebody that got an iPhone to come up on this channel because they are.
LaDawn, hey, see,
Which
LaDawn
one?
probably got one.
LaDon,
Hey.
what you got, sis? I'm on the droid.
Hi. Oh, I'm Android. Girl, I ain't doing no app.
Oh,
Yes.
Thank you,
By yourself.
LaDawn.
I can send pictures to anybody I want, not just to certain people like y'all.
That
Y'all are
part,
limited.
Thank
LaDawn.
you. That
We
part,
can do
LaDawn.
everything y'all do and more.
Yes, drop her down, child. We just
And they keep forgetting iPhones only exist because of Android.
no
Y'all
ma'am.
keep forgetting. Y'all need to read the history of where the iPhone generated from.
No
My
ma'am.
son said, "Mom, why you need a new phone? You need to get an iPhone." I said, "Boy, shut up. You why you
Yo,
think I'm gonna afford one and you got one? You better be lucky you got one."
he's a smart boy. He's a
Teresa, don't be
smart
trying to
boy.
block LaDawn. LaDawn is Team
Okay,
Joy.
I'm gonna block her too, child. And
Oh,
me.
Teresa, you ain't wait till you come over to Chit Chats and see what I do.
Mama V says, how do you forgive a person like Martell when he will not leave you alone? Good question. We'll go around the panel. We'll start with you, Neva. How do you forgive a person like Martell if he won't leave you alone?
Well, I would have to pray on it. I'm just being honest. I don't do forgiveness well. I do work on it and I pray on it, but he constantly does things. So I don't know if I could forgive him for a while, actually, because he's constantly in that cycle of doing things. So I would just have to actually pray for my kid's father and the person that I knew, because the person that he currently is still in that cycle. So I don't think that forgiveness would be, possible for a while, probably.
I get it. I get it. Sis, what about you?
How do you forgive a person like Martell? Oh, well, I would say based off of past behaviors of Martell that's still going on today, I think it would be very hard. So I'm just going to keep it honest. I'm going to say you can't forgive a person like Martell. You forgive yourself for ever marrying him and move on. I think Martell is one of those cases where you have to forgive yourself, because it's ongoing. We know that, don't know, but it appeared that Mel forgave him and wanted peace and, wanted them to move on with their lives and all of that. And then here we go. And then here we go. And you know what I mean? So I think it's very hard. But as we've been saying, forgiveness is for you. So
Yes.
as long as Mel forgives herself for marrying his ass like a lot of us have had to do. I forgave my ex and, we don't have kids in common and all of that type of drama. But it's hard. So yeah, he is a special case. I am blessed, Pecan Pam.
He is.
I agree.
What about you, LaDawn?
I'm like Chit Chat. I can't forgive somebody who continues to do the same behavior. But what I can do is accept that person who they are and just stay away from them. It's acceptance with me. Some people, the world is made up of good and evil. Some people die evil. Sorry. And sometimes it is what it is. You accept them for being the evil person they are. You move on. You keep them out your life. And that's just what it is. And maybe you'll never forgive them. But to me, acceptance is better than forgiveness because you accept that they did what they did and you just move on.
Acceptance.
I agree. I totally agree. What about what Bridget said? Bridget said she find it hard to believe if the person never apologized. Well, what if you never get the apology? Because when we're talking about a person like Martell, do you think he'll ever apologize? I mean, we've heard him on TV say,
A million
I
times.
said I'm sorry, but there's not any change behavior. You can't say you're sorry, but then next week you turn around and do the same thing and expect me to continue forgiving you and forgiving you. But what if you never get the apology?
I think that you would have
Acceptance.
to accept that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Because not everybody is grown enough to apologize, because to most people, apology means accountability. And a lot of people are not at a point to where they are ready to take accountability for the hurt or pain that they've caused you. So if I'm saying that if I'm apologizing to you, that means that I'm saying I'm guilty of what you're accusing me of. And most people aren't grown enough to do that at this point.
Mhm. And
But let me ask a quick question. Should we apologize to that person? It's just a question. Should we apologize to the person for what they feel that we have hurt them for and move on from it and leave it alone and not expect an apology from that person? And that is a way of releasing us to move on because, right, it's for us. So we have to at some point move on.
but can I just say this? What you said, for me, if I don't feel like I did those things, I'm not going to apologize for your feelings. I can understand your feelings and give empathy to your feelings, but I'm not going to apologize for something I know I didn't do because some people's thinking pattern is a little off and not logical. So just because you said I did those things don't mean I actually did those things. That's just the way you feel. And I'm not going to apologize for something I didn't do. I can understand your feelings and hear you out. You still need to apologize for what you did, period, whether or not, because that's hotel's actions. He's
Right.
like, okay, I apologize, but I feel like you did this, so I got a right to do this to you.
Yeah.
No,
Mhm.
no.
Yeah.
Okay, if you did something to somebody, don't try to switch it up and mind F nobody. Apologize for what you did. But if they're saying something to you that you feel like you did do or contributed to, yeah, you could apologize it. But
Right.
you should be apologizing because they said, "Oh, I feel like you did this to me," when you know you didn't do that to them. No, grow up. Like Pink Diva said, be accountable. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna bring it back to Charles Manson. We all know who he is. He went to his grave the same way. He never apologized for controlling those women and making them do the things that they did. Some people go to their grave with, we gotta accept evil for what it is.
Hmm.
Yes, some people can change, but until I see it, that's when I'll talk about it. As of now, your behavior is not forgivable because you just did it yesterday.
Hmm. Mm.
No, I'm not doing all that. No, grow up.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
sick
think we
of
should
it.
forgive a person for their bad behavior
No.
at any point at all. And then unless they're trying to do better and we see that they do better, no, I don't think that that is right because that's misleading. And that
Mhm.
encourages the person to stay in that bad behavior cycle.
Mhm.
And you can tell a person is real evil when they go so far because the only thing Mel, and I'm not just saying this, I'm using it as an example. He said that Mel in the marriage didn't do enough BJs. That's all he said the woman did.
Yeah.
So he
And
went out and found the trollop that would do it, and he ruined his family, and then he made it deeper. He is trying to destroy this woman as if she has nothing to apologize for. She got to talk to her God on why she accepted a man like this because that's not who he chose. She picked him.
mm.
God don't send us junk.
That's true.
No, no, no,
Well,
And
no,
we
no, 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 no.
know initially that's what he said. The issue is, but now it's a thousand other things he's added to the list as
That's where
Right,
the
he
lies
didn't
come
do.
in.
right.
And not the accountability, trying to make her a problem. You get it? That's the mind effing stuff. No, 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 no. She did nothing wrong in that marriage. Okay? It was you. Be accountable. You destroyed your marriage by yourself. Period.
well, I would say this, Ladon. I wouldn't say, and that's with anybody that's married. And
Right.
not mistaken, I've even heard Mel say this, that there were some
Mm-hmm.
things that she could have done differently. Me myself,
Mm-hmm.
think, did it amount to what Martell did or my ex-husband did and all of that? Or did it amount to the breakdown of the marriage? No. But none of us can say we did nothing wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
In
Right.
I'm
I
marriage,
agree.
saying, but chit chat, it didn't amount to destroying your marriage to
who
a
said
third
that?
party.
Yeah, I just said
Yeah,
that.
It was
but we
fixable.
also got to look at too, just like God says, one sin is no different than another sin. So
Well, I don't know about
if I, but it's not though. When you look, a sin is a sin is a sin.
you're right.
Okay, so So when we look at it, if like, because we're married, for the ones we're married, so, and who we've had partners with, if we know that we've done things to hurt a person, we can't say we've done nothing. So in that case, we can say we apologize for what we, for what we did do. Not to
Right.
say that everything you're saying
Right.
I've done. I'm not
Right.
saying that. I'm saying I'm sure that I have said, believe me, I'm sure I've done some things that hurt my husband. I'm not going to fake it like I didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that I have done, just like he's done the same for me. That's all I'm talking about, because Martell is a special person, just like that person is saying here. He is a special person, and we know he lies, but also all of us at some point, we fail. And so at some point, so we can never say that we've never done anything wrong in a situation.
I
Right.
agree. I was the one in my relationship. You guys know my past. I was on UGS in jail, and my husband was the good one, the soldier, the one that was in the army, that was stable, that didn't get in trouble, that stood by me through all my bids,
Mhm.
and and people would say, "Why you still with her? Like, leave that girl." You know what I mean? And he would argue with, like, "Don't talk about her." He defended me. He had my back. You hear me? And I was the one that, like I said, caused a lot of things in the relationship, to where if he did, people on the outside would be like, "I'm surprised you held on that long," but he didn't. So I end up changing. Yes, I did on my own. He gave me the security to be able to do it the way I needed to do it. And as I changed, he's seen the change, and it was difficult for him. It was difficult that I was becoming independent, that I was now working and making my own money and not dependent on him, that I was, more involved in my son's life and more stable. He started verbally abusing me.
But did you
And
apologize for what you had done, though?
yes, I said I even had to do it with my own kids. I went down the line. I had to do it. I had to humble myself and say sorry for being a bad wife, for being a crappy mother, for being a crappy friend, sister, cousin. Yes, I did those things. And my actions were showing it as I was apologizing to the ones I know I hurt. I had to do it, and I did it. Some didn't accept it right away, and some did. My daughter still struggles with forgiving me here and there when it's convenient for her, but that's another thing. I'm talking about, yes, I was the one in a relationship that had to ask for forgiveness, but I also changed my actions along with that, asking for forgiveness. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Yes.
my husband, and then I had to forgive my husband, because when he started verbally abusing me, because I became a strong woman, I fought back, and then it became, I put a wall up. And then it was like, you in a marriage for 20 something, 23 years. You fall in and out of love. You got different levels of love. There was a time I couldn't stand him in this house. And then there was a time that I fell back in love with him. We went through stages, but at the end, we got to a level where he watched his mouth, and he started respecting me and doing what he needed to, and I did what I needed to, and we were good. So when he passed, I was at peace, because I know we had worked through so many things, and we were so strong that I forgave him, he forgave me, and we were good. But you have to see the work. With a person like Hotel, if you don't see the change first, you can't even part the lips out your mouth that you're forgiving such behavior, because how we know he will change? He might be Charles Manson and never change. Who knows? But we don't see it, so we can't say nothing close to it. Even if she apologizes to him, it's not gonna make him do what he needs to do on his end.
But I
Mhm.
think the apology is more for us to move on.
Well, let me
Right.
ask you about that because I wrote that down. Why do we need that? Is it foreclosure? We keep saying that change behavior will show. Well, that really depends on if there's still some type of interaction. I'm talking for the average person. You know, I'm not sticking around most times to even see your change behaviors.
Right.
So I'm not seeking an apology per se. If they give it, if they offer it, fine. But a lot of people need that. Why do you need the apology?
I don't.
For what?
I don't
Well,
I don't need the apology, but I do need to apologize for what I've done so I can move on. For
right.
my own sanity. That's for me. I
Yes.
need I need to clear me.
Yes.
Right.
And
No,
Yes.
I'm
that's
talking
it.
about those that seek it from others,
Oh
and
Right.
I
yeah.
get
Oh
it.
no.
For instance, it would be nice. I don't think that Mel would ever see it. I'm on the outside looking in, so I can't go deep, you know what I mean, when it comes to anything behind the scenes with her and
Right.
Martell. I don't think she'll ever see it based off of what we see, you know what I
Right.
mean, and
Mhm.
hear. But it, she would probably really want a sincere apology with the change behavior because they do have those 4 small kids. But if
Mhm.
those kids were grown, I think Mel would be like F him, and
Yep.
she's still,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying?
Because I
F
would
'em.
too.
But who
Acceptance to
wouldn't
me
want
is
peace?
better than needing an apology. It's just accepting a person for who they are and I'm moving on. That's it.
Yeah. Uh-oh, sis, that raggedy
Hey,
phone.
sis, that
Oh,
wasn't even me.
yeah,
That sound like it was yours. That wasn't
okay,
even me.
okay.
Hey, sis, welcome to the panel, Real Talk with Grace and Mercy. How are you, sis?
I'm doing wonderful. How y'all doing tonight?
We're doing
Good. How are
good.
you?
Doing good. I just had to come up. This is an awesome topic, so I just had to come up and share. Now, when it comes to Martell, we know that Martell is on a path of destruction. Warning comes before destruction. So he had been warned. God had given him 5 years to get himself together. So forgiveness is not about Martell's actions or about the hurt that he has caused Mel. Forgiveness is about making a conscious decision to release the feelings that we have of resentment, anger, vengeance that we have towards the person that did something to us. So that's what forgiveness is about. We have to make sure that we're not harboring any anger or
Right.
resentment in our heart, because
Yes,
and it's
ma'am.
not overnight. Like I always say, forgiveness is a journey, it's not a destination, and it
Mm.
comes through fasting
Mhm.
and prayer. As many of you
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm a DV survivor. It took
Mhm.
a long time for me, but it took a long time for me to really and truly forgive. True forgiveness only comes from God. It took a lot of fasting. It took a lot of prayer.
Yes.
It took a lot of crying. It took a lot of reading the scriptures. It took a lot to let it go. But I wanted to be free. I didn't,
Mhm.
he was no longer in my life physically, and I was not going to continue to let him have control over my mind, over my thoughts, over my feelings, and when he's
Mm-hmm.
in my life. So people get it wrong when they think about forgiveness. They thinking about you forgive that person and you have them in your space and all that. That's not what forgiveness is. It's guarding your heart. It's letting God take that stony heart out and give you a heart of flesh, that you'll be able to
Amen.
peace, that you'll be able to have your joy, and you'll be able to move on in your life. And let Martell do what Martell doing, because he on his way to destruction. Only God can change him.
Mhm.
And only thing we can do is pray and that God shield and protect Mel and those children. But God gonna take care of Martell, because he on the
Yep.
path of destruction. And if he don't heed to the warning, then it's sad to say either he gonna be in jail or in hell.
All
I mean
right.
that so that's because he on the path of destruction. That's why he won't stop. That's why I say he just keep doing that. See, this don't work, that don't work, and it just keep like he don't stop. He just continue to doing because he on the path of destruction. But it's not gonna last always. Sooner or later, he gonna come to the end of the road. And so that's all we can do is ask for why he doing what he doing. Ask for God's shield and protection over Mel and the kids and her family, because Martell is gonna do what Martell is gonna do, but it's not about him. So when we say, can we forgive something a person like Martell? Sure we can, because it's not about him. It's about Mel and her peace. And so that's why she can be happy in the midst of the storm, even though she going through, we don't know what she going through behind the scenes. He doing this, he doing that, he doing all kinds of stuff, but she yet got a smile on her face. She yet moving, she yet pushing. That's God, because she let that go. She she let whatever it is, let him do what he gonna do. God got me, and that's what we have to do in our life. We have to we can't let these people hold us hostage in prison, because it only hurts us. When we hold resentment, hatred, or whatever it is in our heart, we got to give it to God. And it's not overnight. It's not something, because people can do some stuff to you. And it's not overnight, but only God. But see, we gotta want to let it go. If we give it to God, he'll do the rest. Lord,
Yes.
you see my heart. You see how whatever kind of dog, I got evil thoughts about this person. I want to do this person something. I want to do this. I want to do that. Lord, you take that from me. Lord, you deliver me, or whatever. Because those feelings are natural, because people can either make you or they can break you. They're going to make you get on your knees and get closer to God, or they're going to make you throw up your hands and quit. Which one is going to be? So we have to know that, it's for us. And that's all I had to say, y'all.
Well, thank
You
you.
said a word, girl.
Right. You said a whole word. Thank you so much for coming up here and breaking it down to us. You said that we have to forgive for our own peace.
Yes.
That's deep. We have to forgive for our own peace. And we have to want to let it go. And
Yes.
that's where I think a lot of us end up being stuck, because we're not ready to let it go yet. We want to keep on indulging in it and keep holding on to it, and aren't ready to forgive and let it go. And also that it's for ourselves and not for the other person. That's key. Thank you so much for breaking that down for us. And I think that's the only, and when I look at Mel, I look at Mel as being at peace. I don't look at her as still being disturbed or bothered by, what's going on. We see her going into prayer. We see her fasting and doing the things that she needs to do, because it is spiritual warfare. And we all have moments of spiritual warfare, and we have to get on our knees and pray and, ask God to help us as we help ourselves. And again, like you said, we have to want to do better and move past it and forgive, because if we haven't gotten that far, and it's growth, like you say, sometimes it takes a long time to get to that point. I remember what Teresa said earlier. It took her 30 years. It takes a long time, and depending on what the situation is. So I can see with Mel being so connected to Martell, and he's constantly doing stuff. I constantly have to see this man, because we have to exchange the kids or however they do that, but he's still very involved. So it's hard for her to all the way disconnect from him. Yes, she can set her boundaries and move on, but he's still connected, because like Sis said, they have 4 small children. But the key is forgiveness is for us. We have to learn how to be okay with not receiving that apology, because I'm not sitting around waiting on you to apologize for me, because
No, that's
in
right.
most cases we'll never get it. We'll never get an apology. So if you're saying, oh, I want them to apologize to me so that I can forgive and move forward, then you'll never be able to move forward. You'll continue to find yourself stuck and in that rut and not able to grow past what you went through, and that stuff will continue to fester on the inside. So we have to do the work. Like Real Talk said, we have to do the work on the inside. Like we have to pray and move on. And if I know that I haven't wronged you and it was you that was giving the wrong, I'm not going to ask you to forgive me or to apologize to you, because I didn't do anything to wrong you. I'm going to forgive you for the things you've done, and I'm going to move past it. And I'm not going to be connected to you at all. Like Sis said, it's a done deal. I forgave you and I moved on. I'm not sticking around to see your changed behavior. I don't care what's going on with you in your life at this time, because you'll get yours, because we all have to meet our maker. We all have to go before the Lord for ourselves, not for each other. So if I know in order for me to move on that I need to forgive and let it go, then that's what I'm going to do. But again, that does not mean that you stay in the situation or you have to continue allowing the person back into your life and continue this cycle of constantly doing things to you, so that you're constantly in a cycle of forgiveness with this person. Forgive them and move on, because once you've seen and experienced that their behavior is an unchanged behavior and this person ain't gonna change, this person gonna do one thing, I forgive him, let him back in, and he does it again. You have to know when to cut the chain and say, okay, I'm not going to allow you that close to me, and I'm not going to give you another opportunity to wrong me, so that we're back in the same position to say, okay, I forgive you again.
I agree. And that's why it's like our salvation is ours. We can't expect anybody, we can't go do anything with the help of anybody else, because our salvation is ours. So that's why I can look at Melanie and be okay when I see her, because of how she's walking and how she's moving. And we talked about this on Chit Chat channel. I look at Mel and see how she's moving. And I can't go crazy like the stuff that Nell is going through. I felt like she at some point was sincere in that. But again, Mel didn't say a word. So Mel sees these people. She's strong. She knows who's really there for her and who's not. And she's going to act accordingly. So that's why I can actually do it without getting so upset when I see things like that.
And you know what? And I agree, Neva. And you know, I say that all the time. I get on Instagram on a daily basis. I'll see Mel's stories or her posts and all of that. And I try to, but I get it. You know, we're so invested, and, you know, we're invested to the point where we know on show a lot of stuff, off the show, and tensions are high. You know what I mean? So I get it. But when it comes to change behavior and people seeking that after, you know, for me, if you didn't change while I was with you, let's say if it was a relationship, and I gave you ample time, we can say Mel as well. My situation was years. The incident that happened wasn't years, but there were behaviors that could have changed for years. Same with Martell. Mel gave him 5 years. So most times, if people don't change their behaviors while you're with them, don't wait for it after. You done already invested a decade or more. You know what I mean? So again, it all boils down to freeing yourself. Like LaDon said, acceptance. Accepting is knowing that's how it was. That's how it is. I'm good with that. I always say, I don't wish anybody, whether they were tied to me or not, any harm or danger, or, you know what I mean? Just let it go. Let go. My mom's favorite saying is let go and let God. So yeah, I use that a lot.
I totally agree, and I wanted to say
that was the delay, sis.
I had it on mute.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Anyway, I wanted to say, I thank God that God is not like man. I had to say that to myself so many times in the past, of how we often tend to want God to extend us grace for the things that we've done, even when we don't deserve it. So when I am looking at myself and extending grace and forgiveness to someone who may have wronged me, I always try to look at, well, how would I feel, you know, if I was going to someone and wanting them to extend me grace, or, you know, we can't extend grace. It can't be stipulations to it. When you forgive a person, it can't be a stipulation. I have to forgive you because I need to forgive you. So I am not doing it because, well, will the person forgive me? Well, he wouldn't forgive me if I asked for forgiveness, so I'm not going to forgive him. That's not how it works. We have to forgive in order so that we can be forgiven. Because if I go to God and want him to forgive me for something, or wanting him to extend me grace, how can I want it from him but not give it to somebody else? So a lot of times we have to take our emotions out of it. We have to remove ourselves out of the situation, and then we're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Because then we never know when the time may come down the road, we may be looking for this same extension of grace that we didn't give somebody else. So how can
Yep.
you say, well, I'm not going to forgive him or her, or I'm not going to extend grace? But then let's look in our own everyday lives. Let's forget about these reality TV shows. Let's look at our own lives. Will we not want that same grace extended to us?
Yep.
So that's how
Absolutely.
we have to look at stuff, because it's one thing to come out and go hard because we're seeing stuff on a TV show, and well, I wouldn't do this, and I wouldn't talk to her or this person and that person, and I wouldn't let them back in my life. I wouldn't give them grace. That's like a deep topic, a deep situation. So I would never say never, for one, but I also know that we all could be in a situation at any given day and time.
Mhm.
We would need that same grace and forgiveness
Yep.
extended to us. So I can't say,
Absolutely.
I tell this person, well, I wouldn't forgive him if I was you. I wouldn't forgive him. I wouldn't give him grace or this, that, or the other. But then I could need it.
I'm gonna be honest. Pink Diva, I'm gonna be honest. Certain things I'm not. God is still working on me. APERS and stuff like that. Child, I'm not there to forgive them. God's still working on me. Like I said in the chat, some things to me, it depends. It really depends. I can forgive a lot of things, but there's just some things that to me are unforgivable. So God is still working on me with things like that. But I do believe forgiveness is very important. Very important. But I just, like I said, I think certain things, like you could do a lot of things to me and I can forgive and overlook because I've been in so many different shoes. But some things I just can't forgive, and it's just what it is.
Mhm. Well, I think you'll get to the point. But again, it has to be something that you want to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like eventually you'll be able to get there.
Yeah, because God doesn't put on anything on us more than we can bear.
Mm-hmm.
It'll take time for us to bear it, but He doesn't put more on us than He can bear because He has that much faith in us.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah.
I totally agree. So I feel like you'll get there.
So do you think God forgives everybody?
Yes.
Huh? Yes.
When you
Oh my
ask,
gosh, yes.
he
Absolutely.
forgives everybody.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
So even though
He
he
died for
turned
all of our sins. Yes, He
so
forgives.
so even though he turned some people away from the pearly gates, he still forgave them.
You're still forgiven for your sins,
That's
but you're
what's
going to
so
reap what
hard.
you sow.
Okay.
Yeah, you forgiven for your sins.
You have to ask and you have to mean it.
That's
Mm-hmm.
right.
And you
You
can't
have
continue to live the same life. That's how you
Mm-hmm.
get to the pearly gates. If you ask for forgiveness, He's going to forgive you. But you
Mm-hmm.
can't continue to do the same things over and over and over without walking with Him. At some point, you're going to have to walk with Him.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. That
because
makes
we know
sense.
the Lord forgives us 70 times, 7 times,
Yep.
70 times. But you can't continue to do stuff and say, okay, I know I got 69
Right.
more times to
I
go.
forgive me, Lord, again.
You
Right.
and
Makes
you just
sense.
keep doing stuff and you know
Action.
when you're wrong.
Change behavior.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about. So even with that, change behavior. Now that, yes, change behavior is a must. And we all strive to, or should, those of us that believe, to try to walk and talk like God would want us to. And you know what I'm saying? That's deep though, LaDon. Deep, deep, deep.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the panel, SKR. Hey, sis.
Hey, how
How
are
are
y'all
you?
doing? Can you hear me?
We can hear you clear. How are you?
Good, good. I'm driving. That's why I couldn't speak to y'all in the chat. How everybody doing?
We're good.
How are
Good,
you?
good. Well, I just wanted to say, as far as on Grace, I work at the state mental hospital and I work around a lot of people that have done we're more on the crime forensic side.
Mhm.
Our hospital is very heavy on the forensic side. So we're getting people that need to stand for trial, to be competent for trial. And it's amazing how, and it's like I'm practicing grace every day, because I read their chart and read what they're done. And you've got people that have, murdered, I'm sorry, that have unalived people. They've done certain types of abuse, all kind of different assaults and stuff like that. Um, but the one thing that I was taught is that I'm not there to judge them on their crime. I'm there to help with their mental health.
Mhm.
I'm not supposed to sit up there and be like, you a child abuser. I don't want to, and treat them bad. And it's amazing that even though that person has done the things that they have done, you find yourself, and it's weird, it's kind of creepy, and you're just thinking like, how is this? And you're
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, you're laughing and you're talking with them, and you find out that some of them are actually pretty cool people, and you're like, how can that be when I'm read your chart and you're in here to stand trial for a certain type of crime, but I can treat you and encourage you and say, hey, you can do this, and let's get your mental health under control. Let's, figure some things out. And you find yourself encouraging them and being happy for them when they accomplish something or do something great, or they go to the incentive ward or whatever. And it's just like, but you did what you did. So I find myself having to extend grace, through with my job. And as far as forgiveness, I've, had to do that part with my own dad. And there was a lot of things my dad would like to try to just make me mad on purpose. He would
Mhm.
just to get me all riled up and see what I'm going to do. And I think that he just liked trying to just see what people would, what they gonna do. And I don't know what he got out from that by getting you all riled up and causing an issue where you done got mad and acted all out of character. But as far as forgiveness with him, I even asked him, I was like, why did you do the things that you did, or what was going on? And I found that they couldn't even, he couldn't even answer it. He never did give me a
Mhm.
straight answer of why he even did the things that he did, or why was he so reliant on alcohol, what kind of trauma in his life turned him in that direction. And he really just couldn't just sit down and just give me a straight up answer. and
Mhm.
and it makes me wonder, a lot of times some people, not all, that they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. They can't even give you a good answer to even satisfy you, to give you that, oh, they finally said they apologized to me, and I forgive them, and they asked for forgiveness, and we're going to go off and have this great relationship. And end up telling people, sometimes that when you do want to ask for forgiveness or extend grace, and don't be sitting there looking for that you're going to feel better. Everything's going to clear up once you get all of that. And once you find out, even if you find out
Mhm.
why they did what they did, it's not going to just make it go away. And it comes in waves. You have moments where you forgive them and y'all have a good relationship, and then the holidays will come up, or
Mm.
anything will happen, and then you find yourself all back mad again. And so
Mhm.
I also tell people that when you forgive somebody or extend grace, doesn't mean that that's it and it's over, because there's going to be times throughout the years that something will trigger you and you find yourself having to deal with it. And that's when you have to get yourself together and say, okay, I done got triggered. but as I said, I was going to forgive and we got grace. So I need to work on, because that person we done said what they said. Now I got to figure out, why did I allow that to trigger me and get me all out of sorts when we talked about that 5 years ago and supposedly got that straight. So it's like it comes in waves and it doesn't go away. I tell a lot of people, the inmates in the hospital, I said, and a lot of Black guys, I tell them, I was like, it's okay to say you have mental health issues. He was like, no, because we're not supposed to have that. We don't have mental health. I said, yes, we do. I said, I'm a depressive, anxiety all day. And I said, I'm not ashamed of it. I said, it doesn't go away. I said, I manage it. I manage it every day, and I'm going to manage it till the day I die. And if I got to take a pill and pop a pill and go to wherever counselor to manage it, that's what I'm going to do. Because look, I'm out on I told him, I said, I'm on the outside living life. I said, if I can manage my thing, you can too. It's manageable. You just have to realize it's something you just have to do. And or unless you just going to stick around right in here. So, and I think he was wrestling with grace and forgiveness within himself. And it's hard. And we talk about grace and forgiveness for other people, but what about grace and forgiveness within yourself? And I struggle with that with myself, even till this day, with grace and forgiveness. And because, even though you forgive yourself and you extend grace to yourself, you still have to deal with the consequences of the decisions that you made. And that doesn't go away. And it's like, oh man, okay, I forgive myself. I extended grace, but I still have to live with the choice that I made. And it's like, it doesn't just put a bow on it and make it all better. It's like you manage all of this. It's all about management. So that's all I wanted to say.
Well, you said a lot. And thank you so much for coming up and sharing that. And I love how you said that you had to forgive yourself. And I wanted to ask, for those of us that's on the panel, is it hard for us to forgive other people because we haven't forgiven ourselves? Do we think this is why it's so hard for us to extend grace and forgiveness to other people, because we haven't extended to ourselves?
I could say yes.
Yes.
And I think that's what a lot of us, what we deal with when we say, oh, I'm not forgiving that person, or I'm not forgiving this one, and I'm not extending grace. And I can look back, especially with me, and I'm glad SKR mentioned that, because I think that's where I was at a point. I hadn't forgiven myself. That's why it was so hard for me to forgive him or anybody else that has wronged me. And I think that's something that we all need to take a deep dive into, especially when we find ourselves at a point to where we feel like we can't extend grace and forgiveness to other people. And I think we got to look at ourselves. We got to take a look at the man in the mirror and say, hey, I can't forgive this person because I haven't let go of some things. I'm holding on to some stuff that I've went through or gone through, and I'm not past that. So how can I extend grace and forgiveness to somebody else when I haven't yet extended it to myself?
Yeah. And the part that she mentioned about extending grace to ourselves as well. I think that's why it's so important when you end any type of relationship or friendship or whatever, you have to take some time to do self-work, and I'm still in that process and enjoying it. You know what I mean? Because if not, you're taking that baggage on to the next person. And you haven't even forgiven yourself. You haven't even really extended grace. You haven't even sat down in what happened. You know what I mean? And that takes time. So that's what I wish for Mel. And I think that, when it comes to her own level of peace, I think she's there. But again, you have this Tasmanian devil. And I may do a late live tonight, speaking of Martell, but when you have this Tasmanian devil that won't let you just sit in your peace, it's hard. It's hard. So we know that, and thank you, SKR and Brittany, both for just mentioning therapy and depression. You know, that taboo in a sense when it comes to the Black community. And I think that we really need to get out of that because none of us are perfect. All of us got some things that we need to work on or somebody to work on them with us. And I just
Yes.
love that. You know, let's get out of the stigma of, oh, I got to be crazy if I go sit down and talk to someone.
And therapy is
And
a great thing. So I'm glad to hear Brittany and others say that they are attending therapy sessions, because I knew a couple of friends of mine that went, because again, like sis said, a lot of times we tend to think that something is wrong with us mentally because we seek therapy. But I feel like when you go to therapy, that's your opportunity to be able to release a lot of this stuff that you're holding on to and the stuff that you're going through. But most importantly, when you do go to therapy, be truthful, tell the truth. You know, don't go in and withhold information because you won't be able to get the help that you need. Go in and be truthful about what you're going through so that you can get the help that you need. And it's not a bad thing. You know, help yourself, help you help yourself. And if therapy is the way, do that.
And I worked with a psychiatrist, in my practice. And one thing she used to say, when it comes to forgiveness or when it comes to forgiving a person or something like that, is like, if you can't forgive or don't know how to forgive yourself, we don't know what that looks like. So it's harder for us to forgive another person because we really don't know what it looks like because we're still so hard on ourselves and haven't forgiven ourselves.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yes.
What do you all feel about the comment? So let's say a person is coming to you for forgiveness. How do you feel when a person started off with, if I did something to wrong you, will you forgive me? Do you think that's coming from a genuine space, or should a person just say, hey, I just want you to ask you to forgive me for, what I did, or what I did to you, what I did or what I said to you? Do you think starting it off with the if I did something is coming from a genuine space?
No, I don't think so because if I did, it's telling me that you don't think you did.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't take it as being in a genuine space. I would have to see where I am mentally with that person in the situation, whether I'm going to keep it going or let it go. But truly, for myself, I should let it go. But starting off something with if tells me personally that you don't think that you did.
Yeah. And you know what? I wrote down when LaDawn was speaking, apologies with a but. I that grinds my gears. I apologize, but remember you did this too, or remember you said this too. And that's basically the same thing. That's not sincere to me, you know. So I don't want an apology just to have an apology. If you're going to apologize, or if I need to apologize, it has to be sincere. You know what I'm saying? If not, keep it.
Because technically, if you're not sorry, you're not sorry. And just
Yeah,
because
stand
somebody
on it.
thinks, right, just because somebody thinks you, oh, you should apologize. But if I'm not sorry, I'm just being honest. If I'm not sorry, I'm not sorry. So I'm not going to chit chat. I'm so sorry. No, I really don't mean that.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's right or wrong, at this moment, at this time, I don't mean it. So I shouldn't be coming to you saying, if I did anything, I'm sorry, or I'm sorry, but that's not real.
Yeah.
And we know sometimes that's how people approach us, with the if I did something to you,
Mm-hmm.
forgive me. So the question is, if a person approaches you that way, do you accept it, forgive them,
No,
and move on, or
no.
do you demand
No,
more?
I wouldn't
no,
accept it.
I wouldn't accept it. It goes back to what Neva said earlier, and I was saying it depends. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna apologize for something I didn't do just to soothe your ego, you know. And I don't want you to apologize to me if you don't think you did nothing wrong. and then that comes with acceptance, accepting you're who you are and you just can't be in my life. Because I don't want a person that's not taking accountability. If
Mhm.
you go to somebody with an apology, it's because you're recognizing you did something wrong to that person. There's no
Mm,
buts, thinks, ifs, ands, and buts about it.
Mhm.
mm.
So how can you actually determine if in the spur of the moment a person is actually sincere with their apology or asking you to forgive them? Let's say, let's go back
Communication.
to the yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let's go to the text message that Martell sent Mel. I apologize a million times over. Let's act like we don't know about the whole Nell, him being at the polo event was coming next. If she just received that text message, wasn't connected to anything else about what was going on social media, would
I
we
don't
not
think.
accept that and extend grace and forgiveness off of that and just assume that okay, the person reached out, said they were sorry, um I'm going to forgive him and move on,
Mm-mm.
and let's act
Wow.
like
Mm-mm.
we're not connected to the person, right?
No, no, because
Look,
no, because the text message is not sincere to me.
Nope.
right. And it's
No.
communication. It is communication. In
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
situations such as this, where
Mm-hmm.
an apology is warranted and maybe you need it or whatever the case may be, if it does not feel sincere, and I hate to take it to this level, but it's like women that shy in bed and they'll sleep with a man for 25 years and they're not satisfied and all of that.
Mhm.
Communicate, so even with this, well, I know you sent this, but you know what I mean? That's where we're going to put the but in there. Let's talk about this. So, yeah, you can't just assume that it's meant. And I think, sis, in that case, because Mel has cut communication basically. He sent it. His behavior will show her. And it didn't. You know what I mean? The very next week, he got the bird putting out the picture of Jason and his wife and all of that. So, I think she's probably just so, what's the word where you just drink?
Immune. I think
Immune.
she's
Immune.
immune to it
Yes,
because
ma'am.
he'll say something and do something else, say
Yes.
something and do something else.
Yes. Yes.
But I think she said that in one of the scenes too, Chit Chat, didn't she? She said you say you sorry, but then you go straight and do something right back right after that. She said that, didn't she?
I think
Mhm.
did we just watch it?
I think
I
we
don't know.
did.
So,
We had to. I think so. Yeah. Plus, when they were sitting down at that restaurant after the Houston trip, and you guys know he was saying, I apologize. And she said, yeah, that's the thing. Then he said, I'm waving a white flag. Apology. That's what that means. And she said, no, your flags are red. So, yeah, I think that situation, it takes prayer, it takes time. I don't know, those of us that watch this show and watch, their lives, all of them, if we'll ever see it. But with me extending grace, you guys know that we had big debates about this before. With
mhm,
me extending grace, my grace is a hope. I hope that
mhm.
that situation in particular can get to a level of peace and grace and true forgiveness. And I think his life would be better, and Mel would have peace. So we know hers would just be like an exhale. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know.
Well, I wanted to, you know how it really, when kids are little and you tell them they do something and you say you're sorry. And then after they say, I'm sorry, they run off and go play. They never get to sit in what they really
Yeah,
did. So it's like
yeah.
people use the I'm sorry and then they go off and go play and do what they gonna do because they apologize. So I've done my part and
Mhm.
this is it. And as we've taught kids at a young age that just say I'm sorry and then you go run off and go play, and we don't make them sit in it
Mm,
and
mm,
really think about what they've done. We just allow them to go run off and go play. And that's what Martell is. He's a, I'm sorry, and then run off and get on the swing set. So it's just, he thinks that that's enough. He don't specify what, hey, I'm sorry that I went and had a child on outside of our marriage with another woman. I'm sorry that I allow this woman to disrespect you online, in your face, in our home. He don't put specifics to it. And that's the thing, that's the key for me with apologies and forgiveness and grace, is when you can get to the detail of what you've really done. When you can acknowledge the details out of it, not just say some surface stuff. It's going down into the nitty gritty of what you've done, and can explain to me, and you recognize how I feel. I know that just cut you down to the core, and I went down deep, and I, that kind of language. You got to be specific. Give me some emotional words that you describe how I feel. And then okay, they recognize, they gave me some emotional words of how I could possibly feel and how it's wrong and this, that, and then I can go on and be like, okay, can I forgive? Because they have acknowledged some of the things that's going on with me and allow me to express myself. And then they've shown me change behavior, over extended time. So it's just, you just have to see what these folks, when they say they sorry, are they acknowledging doing the specific, or are they running and go get on the swing set? So
I agree, and great points. Because that happened with my brother. Remember, I think in a previous live, I told you all where he texted me and said that he was sorry or asked for forgiveness or something. It was a phone call or something. But the behavior didn't change. It was just like very generic, and the behavior didn't change. But I don't think I was expecting change behavior too. And so that helped me, being at a point to where I'm no longer expecting a change behavior from you because I'm so far removed from the situation. I'm no longer expecting an apology from you. I'm at a point to where now I forgive for myself and not expecting you to come and say that you apologize. Although the human side of me at one point wished for an apology or wished for that conversation, because sometimes, like I think sis mentioned earlier, is it a point to where we're just looking for closure? And I think sometimes that apology or that I'm sorry can be that piece of closure that we're looking for in order for us to like put the cap on it and move on. I think though at the point that I'm at now with it, I no longer look for the apology. I no longer look for the closure of it. I forgave and I let go and I moved on. And I think that helped me to cross that hurdle and stop expecting it, because when we expect it, we don't get it. And I think it hurts us more when we are expecting the person to apologize or for them to even ask us to forgive them. So it can't be a two-way street. I'll say I forgive you if you ask me to forgive you. I have to learn how to just say, you know what, I forgive you, I let it go, and I move on. That doesn't mean I accept you back in my life. I'm done with it. I'm closing it, but I forgive you.
Excellent point. With you know what just happened with me, with my sister, and some of you ladies know as well, that's members, and you guys know how long I struggled with that. So I came around to talking on the phone when she was in the hospital, and sis, you know what happened a week later. A week later. So I'm leaning back into exactly what you just said, and it's really what LaDawn said as well. We have to accept them for who they are, accept their behavior, realize, it is what it is. But I'm back in my bubble. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, with what went on, I'm back in my bubble. So, and when I mentioned closure or an apology, I'm at the point like you, I don't seek it from anybody. I just do not, because that'll keep you going for years. Look at Teresa, for instance. Whatever situation that happened with her and her mother-in-law, she carried that around for 30 years. And when you carry something like that around, that means, hey, I was right in my position. She was wrong, and it's just gonna be what it's gonna be. But look at the years, so it's tough. It's such an excellent decision. I mean, an excellent discussion, but it's
Yes.
tough,
It
It's tough.
Chit
is.
Chit Chat, is your sister dealing with some undiagnosed mental illness?
Absolutely.
Well, and that's
I wouldn't say undiagnosed. I will say untreated. So yeah, she's
okay.
been
Yeah,
diagnosed.
there's no
That as
yeah.
well as addiction.
Yes, there's
So,
no reasoning with those type of people. When they are in their manic phase,
Oh my
there's
goodness.
no reasoning with them. They
As
do
they are.
because they feel as they done nothing wrong. It's all your fault, and you're the one that's in the wrong because and they like to stir it up. Let me come. I love you, and
Oh my
I forget,
God.
please. I just need you to,
Yeah.
and y'all just pray for me, and y'all do better. I'm gonna do better. And then, like you said, the next week, then they done came in and stirred it all up because that's how they like it. They love to get it all jumped off and
Well,
stuff, and
look,
then
honey,
stand back and watch.
look, this is something that's gone on for decades. Okay. So I'm not talking 10 years, 20 years. I'm talking about the majority of my life. With the health issue that she had, open heart surgery, a week later, she did have a manic that it was extreme. So even while being in that, she didn't come out and go off like she normally does on her family. She was crying, oh, that's my little sister trying to call me now. I can't even explain it. I can't even explain what went on this last week. So she's still in I guess in her mind, she knows that it took a lot for all of us to even reach out and make sure she was okay and give her, advice and say, look, leave the drama alone. We love you, blah, blah, blah. So she stayed away from that part, but it was what she was doing, which really, really was a danger to herself. That's really all I can share for and I have video. It was so scary. And I told my brother then I have to step back. There's no way in the world I could peep on and see she's okay Thursday. Then Friday, this is going on. And I just have to put it in the Lord's hand again and pray. Love her to death. But I cannot do it. I cannot do it. So
when it's at that point, you do have to move out the way and let them do what they do, because maybe that's the part where you can finally get them into a treatment facility. And if they commit some type of crime, whatever state that they're in, then they would be sent to a mental health hospital, and then they would get them, they will be committed, they will be court ordered to be committed in.
That's happened before.
Yeah,
that's happened before several times.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The thing about it is that they hate being on the medication. They like the feeling of being manic. They love that feeling, and when then they don't like the feeling of being numbed out because they are on medication, and they 3 weeks in and they ain't doing nothing but sleeping. It's like, I don't like how it make me feel, and I ain't living life, and I just don't like it. And then it takes a while to get medications regulated, and then your body to accept it, and then get you back onto working into a daily functioning life. And it's really hard to get those type of people to take their medication, and a lot of them love the manic feeling. It just does something to them to be manic. So sometimes you just have to let them go and let them be, let them fall, it is going to be what it is when they're untreated. So that's the
Absolutely.
forgiveness and grace within yourself to say, when it's mental health, you got to just let it go. There's nothing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing you can do. If you can't commit them, they just gonna have to ride it out, and
Yeah.
hopefully they don't hurt somebody else.
Yeah, and as I said, this has been going on. Hey, Aunt Debbie, this has been going on all of my life. And when I tell you, every option has been done as a family when parents were still alive. So, I had been in a bubble since 2016-ish. You know what I mean? And it took that issue that she had to make me, and I'm still glad that I did. And Teresa, actually, my brother is not. He's not livid, but he's going back in his bubble as well. Because that's our sister and we love her. And but sometimes you gotta love folks from a distance. So the good thing, SKR, she has grown children, and it is now time for them to step up to the plate. And when I say grown, I mean grown, and do what needs to be done when it comes to mom. So.
And I want to say kudos to you, sis, for extending that grace and reaching out and getting to the point to where you did reach out to her again because you didn't have to do that. So kudos to you for that. My question to SKR in regards to a situation like we're speaking about, when it is an adult that we as a family member recognize that there is an issue and there's something wrong, how do we help those individuals when we know that they are adults and we can't just go sign them into a facility to get help because they can sign themselves out? So how do we help? Because we had to deal with something similar in the past with an aunt. How do we help individuals like that when they are adults and we can't just go sign them into a facility for help?
Unfortunately, there's and they can't even oh my gosh, I see it every day. They don't make good decisions at all, but they think they're making good decisions. There's nothing you can do. Really, you can try to get them into therapy. You get them into the doctor's office and the doctor prescribe them something and you say, can you give me a referral to a psychiatrist? They give you the referral to the psychiatrist. You try to take them to their appointments and make them take their medication, and you'll probably get 2 or 3 days in them and they sleeping and they don't like how it feels, how they feel groggy and sad and slow. They walking slow, and sometimes the medication make them drool and or they start eating a lot. Some of them make them eat a lot and they like, I don't like I'm picking up weight, or I don't like how I'm drooling. I don't like how it makes me have dry mouth. I don't like how I can't even smile. And so then then you find yourself arguing with them because you can't get them to go to the psychiatrist's office. You can't get them to take their medication. They're cheeking it. You watch them take their medication and they go in the room and go spit it out, go in the bathroom or throw it up. So, there's nothing that you can do. And we live in there's no more asylums. Go sign your loved one, take them up there and go throw them in the hospital and say this is what it is, and then you get in your car and leave. It's no more of that. Basically, the way a person would get help is that they would have to almost commit a crime, and they have to go before a judge, and they are deemed incompetent, and then that's when they finally get help, because then they get court ordered to take medications. And so we either give them their pills, and if they refuse their pills, then we give them a shot. We have to do like a restraint and give them a shot of the psych med. So then after a few weeks, then they're starting to regulate and they're start talking more sense, and they're taking their oral medications like they're supposed to, and they're not as sleepy and they're functioning and doing things. But in the beginning, there's really nothing you can do on the outside. It's something that they have to want to do, but if they don't feel like that they are not had, they don't have it, there's nothing wrong with them. And that's the key thing. You have to acknowledge that you have mental health issues and you need help. And if you don't acknowledge it and try and see it through, then there's nothing you can do. They would have to commit a crime in order to get that help.
And I knew as well someone who was very depressed, who dealt with depression. We knew that the individual was severely depressed, but we couldn't get any help because, again, they are adults, and it's just disheartening when you know they need help and you know they have an issue, and as a family member, it hurts because you want to get them help, but you don't know what to do because they are an adult, and you know they can sign themselves out if they want to. And it's just hard to sit and watch them slowly dissipate because they aren't getting the help that they need. But you know, what can we do?
Yeah,
So
they would almost have, they would have to commit that crime and have that final break where they are so having hallucinations and delusions and all of that stuff, to where they actually, it's a lot of them are in there for elderly abuse, because they have done some type of crime against their own family member. It's always the person that's closest to them. With the men, they always attack the grandmother or the mom. Those, or whoever's the person that is responsible, that they're living with and taking care of them, that's the person that they go after. And who is that? It's usually grandma or mom. So a lot of them are in there for elderly abuse and assault. And so, and then the next ones, they're in there for unaliving grandma or mom, because they, you know, blame them. Grandma didn't give me the keys to her car so I can go to the store. So I did something to her and took the keys to the car and drove and then wrecked the car. And, you know, grandma is unalived back at the house, you know. So, and they think that it's their fault. She shouldn't have said no, that I couldn't have the keys to the car. So it's her fault. It's usually the person, the family, that is trying to help them or do something with them or give them a place to live and give them some money. That's the ones they go after. So there's just nothing. You would just have to sit back and watch to see if they're gonna commit a heinous crime.
And I guess you just really have to just totally disconnect yourself from them so that it won't bother you as much. And I know it's hard, and I know you have to get to that point because initially, you know, we're human and this is family. So we want to get them help. We want to do everything possible, but you know, I guess after we see for so long, there's absolutely nothing we can do, or you know, they are denying themselves the help. You know, I can't want it for you worse than you want it for yourself, right? So I can want you to do better, but if you don't want to do better, you know, what can I do? It has to be something that you want to do for yourself. So thank you, SKR, for coming up and explaining and helping educate us on this topic. And we veered over into this talking about forgiveness and grace and forgiveness. But thank you for the education, because it's a lot of us who have, I'm sure, know of someone or have family members that have dealt with situations or currently dealing with situations like this. Even Bad Apple was just saying that it happened with her. She said, we have the exact same problem with my nephew. He's in jail now for assaulting my mother. He's facing 20 years for elder abuse and AWDW. Oh, wow. Sorry to hear about that, sis.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's
And it's almost
exactly what
like
it is.
how, and it's almost like, how do you hate them when you know it's an illness, right? Like,
Mhm.
how do you get past seeing that it's not really them? It's an illness that they're dealing with. So to anybody that's dealing with a family member that's going through that, especially you, sis, as well, kudos to y'all for being able to
Mhm.
mentally stay strong enough to deal with it, because it's a lot having to deal with it, and also getting yourself to a space to where you are choosing your peace
Mhm.
opposed to continuing to deal with the ongoing trauma that they continue to cause, not only to themselves but to everyone that loves them and trying to help them. So kudos to you.
Mhm.
So just like Mama V said, it takes a special person to do that job.
Mhm. You know what showed up, sis, on my Instagram last week? I'm scrolling through my pictures now to see if I can find it. It was some type of support group. That's why, and as soon as I saw it, I said, these damn phones listen to everything. But it was
Mhm.
adults surviving trauma from adults, siblings, I mean, it was so spot on.
Mm.
I'll find it and I'll share it like in members only or something. But when it comes to what SKR has said, all options have been exhausted. You know what I mean? And again, everything that you said that needs to be done as a family, it was done. Just to give you guys a history, let's say her behavior started around 1819. She's 65.
Mm.
As a family, my parents were, we stick together no matter what. We deal with this together no matter what. So with my mom, when she passed in 2007, it continued because my dad was still here. So as a family, we had to run, we had to raise kids, we had to do this and that for all of these years. So it was after my father passed where I really just wanted peace. That's it. So again, from the I put her in treatment, paid for her to go to California. This was years ago. Paid for her to go to California, paid for her to get in the treatment center. She was back in Chicago 2-3 months tops. It was done again by my parents, So yeah, at some point, and look, the love is there. So sis, you just mentioned hate. I could never hate her, because that's my sister. The love is there, but I love myself a little more. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm a spectator now. And only thing I had a tough conversation with my brother. I said, get my nieces on the phone and make sure that they have insurance set up in the event of. Other than that, I will never put myself back into that mental torture. You go from hope to disappointment on a weekly basis. When you fall for the talk and the cries, I'm so sorry and I love y'all and this, that, and then disappointment the very next week. So as a family, sometimes you have to step back. You have to step back. That don't mean that you're giving up on them. That just means that, I got to let God handle it, in the way that he see fit. That's why I am.
But then let me tell you this. This is the part that, and I had to, because we're going through this right now with a cousin of mine that is actively harassing and threatening my grandmother and my aunt, his mother. And, you know, um, I told my mom, I said, and he's threatening to hurt them really bad, and has already waved a certain object in front of them that's what he was going to do. So I said, Mom, we're either going to have to, the family needs to get ready to be that family that we have to either apologize to another family for what he's done to somebody else, if he if he's got a girlfriend or whatever else. We're gonna be that family that we've got to apologize, and then they gonna ask us, why didn't y'all get help for him, and why did y'all allow him to
You can't carry
run
that
amok
burden.
in the streets and everything and be mental? Why didn't y'all put him somewhere? We're going to either be that family, or we're going to be the family that's kind of divided in a way because he's done something with one of us inside the family, and we all gonna be mad that he's done something to one of our family members inside the family, you know. So I said we just got to get ready for it, because that's where it's headed to when you can't commit people and have them go to where they need to, you know, and they're out within a few months. It's nothing. You just have to wait until that, you know, God forbid that happens, and then that's the only way that they get help.
But that's a burden that, and I get it, you know what I'm saying? That's a burden, and it's guilt already in advance that you are feeling, and you know you're carrying the burden of his actions. And you know, it's unfortunate. My advice, and I know it's not possible because look, I couldn't get my parents to move, but if I felt like my mom, my aunt, and everybody was in danger, either he's going to be removed, you know, and go to a facility, or, you know, call the police or whatever the case. Like you said, you know, sometimes, you know, if they get arrested or something, or I'm going to have to move us to safety. And I know that's easier said than done, but you can't hold the burden of blame of actions because he has a mental illness issue, and you guys couldn't do anything about it. You know, they have to realize they need help. They have to get on medication to control things and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I know it, like I said, it's easier said than done because people can't just pick up and move. But I be damned if I live in fear that something can happen to me or my mom or whoever over somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So that's the tougher decision, not accepting what they do, or that's just so and so. He like this or she like this. You know, sometimes you got to go to extreme measures for peace, protection, and safety. But I'm definitely praying for you, you guys.
I agree. Thank you so much for that. Like Nashonda said, prayers to all who are dealing with family members with mental illness. Yes, and I think we all have someone, if not a couple of family members who are dealing with mental illness. So thank you so much for elaborating on this topic. It's a much needed topic because you sharing your stories can help so many other people who are dealing with the same thing. Even seeing some of the divas in the chat that are saying that they've experienced it, Bad Apple and a couple others. So thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. Did you all enjoy the topic tonight? Look how forgiveness and grace gets us to talking about other stuff, because again, it coincides with each other, because we still have to, even with dealing with family members like this, we still have to get our heart to a place to where we can even forgive them, because you know they've done so much, and you know it angers us, and even though we want to throw in the towel and walk away, we still have to get our heart at a place to where we can forgive and extend grace for us, not them, but for us. So thank you to everybody that shared. So we're going to get final thoughts on the topic, and SKR, if you want to give your final thoughts on the topic tonight. We are 2 hours and 13 minutes in.
My final thoughts is grace and forgiveness. I think there has to be some understanding before. I don't even know. There's a lack of understanding about forgiveness and grace. And a lot of people, they need to be educated on forgiveness and grace. And then how the people that we're even asking forgiveness and grace from, I even look at what their mental health status is. And as for us as Black people, we do have mental health issues. It does not go away. You manage it. And I just ask everybody to say, tell folks in your family, it's all right to admit you have mental health issues, get help, and manage it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you for that, sis. We appreciate you. Thank you for sharing. Sis, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is just this was such an awesome discussion tonight. Well needed conversations when it comes to morals again, or how we should move when it comes to what we know God would want for us, as far as forgiveness and grace and all of that. And then what it turned into, mental health issues and all of that. So just excellent. That's all I have to say. Awesome, well needed discussion. And I think prayer, that's my final thoughts. Prayers, pray on all of those: forgiveness, grace, family trauma, mental illness. That's my answer. Pray. So thank you,
Yes,
sis.
thank you, sis. Thank you so much for sharing. And we are going to end this thing off with Real Talk with Grace and Mercy, because we know she got some good words for us to end this topic off tonight.
Hey man, I really enjoyed the topic. I had a discussion on the topic about forgiveness, how forgiveness can heal your soul. And I just wanted to leave these words. I went and got my notes. Holding on to grudges and harboring unforgiveness can weigh heavily on our souls. It can lead to emotional distress, physical ailments, and spiritual stagnation. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting other people to suffer. It only harms us and prevents us from experiencing true joy and peace. So we just need to remember that forgiveness is not for the other person, it is for us. And I want to pray for each and every one that's going through mental illness in their families, and I'll probably be praying on that on tomorrow. So I'm keeping everybody in my prayers, and I'm asking y'all to pray for me as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those words. What a way to end this topic. Prayer is definitely what we need. So thank you for praying for us as we pray for each other, because this is just a little bit of what we can see of how we can relate so much with each other, because there's so many of us dealing with things behind the scenes. And it's just amazing how we can start with one topic and end up at a different one. And who knew that we all needed this, right? Because there's so many people going through it and dealing with it. So any words of advice that we can get from each of you is definitely much needed, because again, we have these topics so that we can help each other. We all experience similar things. So being able to talk about them out loud, and to also see that, it's not just us. We're not in this battle alone. We have other people that are fighting a similar fight, so we can pull strength from each other. And prayer is definitely the key. Prayer is the key. So again, thank you all for joining me on the panel. I appreciate each of you. To everybody that joined in and those that are listening in, thank you so much for joining Pink Table Topics. And I wanted to say thank you all for helping me get to 600 subscribers. We are growing. I am so happy. I happened to look the other day. I was like, look, I got 600 whole subscribers. Thank y'all. I appreciate that. I'm really aiming for 1K by my birthday. My birthday is December 1st, so I'm really trying to get to 1K subscribers by my birthday. So please make sure you are sharing the video for me. And any person that you feel that would can get something out of what we talk about over here. Of course, we talk about some mess, we joke, we have fun, we talk about some reality TV, but it's some real life stuff that we be talking about over here. And I just be so pleased. I take notes and I go back and read them, because we are so relatable in so many ways. So I thank you to everybody that comes to the panel and share your thoughts and share your experiences. And to anybody else that's in the chat, when I drop the link, please hit the link and come up and share your experiences. We are sisters over here. This is a no judgment zone. We want to hear what you have to say, and we love that you care enough to want to share your stories and your experiences. That's what this channel is all about. So definitely feel free to hit the link and come up and share. We don't judge over here. So thank you again for joining. To anyone that's a content creator that was in the chat, my sis Chit Chat with QT. You know, she was here. Real Talk with Grace and Mercy. Our Aunt Debbie stopped by. Happy birthday, a belated birthday to you again, Aunt Debbie. We hope that you enjoyed your birthday weekend. Thank you so much for stopping by. SKR, thank you for joining me on the panel. LaDawn was here. Neva was here. Thank you all so much for joining. I appreciate you for joining us. And next week, I will not be able to, I don't think I'll be able to do the live next Tuesday because I'll be going on my cruise on next Wednesday. So I'm sure I'll be packing and trying to finish getting my house together before I leave so that I can actually be able to enjoy my vacation. Because
travel.
Thank you. We're doing a girls trip. We're doing a birthday girls trip. Two of our birthdays are in December and the other two was in October. So we're doing it in November. So we're celebrating our birthdays. So we'll be on a 4-day cruise to the Bahamas, but we're spending 2 nights in Miami. So I am looking forward to it. I've had a very hard month, so I'm looking forward to it. But so I will not be live next Tuesday. So I can make sure that I have everything together and all loose ends tied up before I leave. But the following week I'll be back. Then I'll be working on some things that we're going to be doing because the holidays are coming up. So I want us to do some fun things. So we're going to be doing some fun stuff. We're going to have like a pajama jam, you know, on the live, but you know, we're going to have some fun games and some stuff to do. The holidays are coming. A lot of us are missing loved ones during that time. So we want to do something that can spark some fun to kind of take our minds off of it a little bit, as much as possible so that we can pull strength from each other. Amen.
Amen.
So thank you all. So thank you so much for joining. And like I say, go have yourself a good night. And if you can't have a good night, don't you dare go messing up nobody else's. Thank you for joining Pink Table Topics. And to anybody that will be joining in a little bit later, stopping by to do the replay, thank you so much for joining. Make sure you hit the like button when you come in, and also make sure you feel free to leave a comment and turn your bell notifications on so that you'll be notified each and every time I drop a new topic. So I'm going to go up and say some goodbyes, but have a good night, divas. Thank you so much. Thank you. I love you, ladies. Thank you for rocking with me.
Good night.
Speaking of mess, those that's up late, join me in 30 minutes. Good night, sis. Thank you.
Look, I'll be there.
Come on.
Me too.
Good night.
All right.
Good night, sis. Good night, Real Talk with Grace and Mercy.
Good
Good night,
night.
Teresa. Thank you for mine for me, Diva. Thank you for holding it down. You and sis in the chat. Daughter of Israel. Good night, sis. Good night, Mama V. Thanks for joining, sis. I appreciate you. S. Horton, thank you for dropping by, sis. I appreciate you. Bad Apple, thank you so much, sis, for pulling up. I really appreciate you. Nashonda was here. Thank you, sis, for joining. Irene, good night, sis. Thank you for being here. LaDawn, have a good night, sis. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Reen Bass was in the house. Have a good night, sis. Thank you so much for joining. Daughter of Israel, I think I got you, sis, but if I didn't, have a good night, sis. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you for being here. Irene was in the house. Square Biz was here. Thank you, sis, for pulling up. I appreciate you. My sis, I am blessed pecan. Pam was in the house. Thanks for joining, sis. CC was here. Thank you so much for joining, sis. I appreciate you. Thank you. Math was here. Thanks for joining. Betty McWilliams was in the house. Thank you, Diva, for dropping down. I really appreciate you for being here. Miss Blade was here. Thank you, sis. Brittany Janae was in the house. Mama V was here. Have a good night, ladies. Kimberly Anthony was here. Thanks for joining. I appreciate each and every one of you for stopping by. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's pray for each other. Make sure you add me to your prayer list for sure. Let's pray for each other and pull strength from each other. That's what we're all about. Bridget J was here. Have a good night, sis. I appreciate you for being here. Let me make sure I covered everybody. I don't want to leave anybody out. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think I covered everybody. Healthcare worker was here. Thank you so much, sis. Lady Sweetness was here. Thank you, Diva, for pulling up. I appreciate me some you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me make sure I have everybody. Please make sure you share the video for me, everyone. CDW was here. Have a good night, sis. Thanks for joining. My sis SKR was in the house. Security was here, y'all. She was here. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me see. I think we have everybody. And I am out. Have a good night. Good night.